Hey guys, we're here at Knott Scary Farm again, and we're gonna do a tour of Mesmer.
Yes, it's gonna be a special tour to give you guys a little bit more of the story behind the maze. So we'll be walking through and giving you a little bit of background as we go.
This is the opening room of Mesmer, where we see Phineas Mesmer actually kill Lucinda.
Yes, and she will be, when you walk through the maze, in this lovely chair, dying. I don't know a less morbid way to say that. But yeah, so if you notice, this one will be spinning when you walk through the maze, and you're also in a giant zoetrope, which you can see by the little eyes and illustrations.
And so as Lucinda dies, she actually starts to bring us into the world that Phineas Mesmer has created.
In this world, when you walk through it at night, we'll obviously have very cool graphics of eyes going on here.
And these kind of like, this is the transition room. This is when you're actually starting to die. You're like going into the beyond and into the hells of all Mesmer's victims.
And you'll know each time you walk through these little fabric ropes that you're going into a new room with a different side of the story. So when we walk into this room, we meet the illustrated man.
He is actually the tattoo artist who worked with the carnival, and he was obsessed with tattooing skin. And so he asked Mesmer, he's like, I've run out, I literally have no more skin on my body, what should I do?
Yeah, so Mesmer then hypnotizes him and convinces him to open up his body and tattoo the other side of his skin. So he tattoos both sides of his skin, which you can see from the creepy skin on the walls and his victims.
Yeah, so like this is like his skin and the skin of the people that the illustrated man has murdered.
And there is beautiful detail in the
design.
design.
It's very gruesome. But yeah, it is, the details are beautiful.
Super cool. I think I was too scared to see it in the nighttime.
So this one is actually kind of easy to miss because right as you walk in is the regurgitator's sign. And so like if you're focused on going this way and like not being scared by the scare actors, you could miss it. But the regurgitator was actually, his whole shtick for the carnival was that he would swallow things on stage, like, anything.
A sword swallower is kind of like what clicked in my mind when he said it. So he was then convinced by Mesmer, when he was hypnotized, to swallow a sack of spiders, which then ate him alive, came outside.
Just like crawled through his gullet out onto everywhere.
Which you could see through the sacks of spiders and people in spider webs.
It's
all in
so
this
gross.
room.
Yeah, because there's like a body that's like all webbed. This one is like one of the grossest ones to me. I don't know why, like the tattoo one probably should be grosser to me, but like something about the spiders.
This one gets me. So then we come through another transition here with
to
all
Mr.
the eyes
Skeleton.
on the walls.
And this is actually a really special part of the story because Phineas Mesmer was actually not the original leader of the carnival. It was actually Mortimer. And this is Mortimer's room. He has become Mr. Skeleton.
And he has a bit of an obsession with grandfather clocks, as we see in this room. And then there's a little fun scare that happens here with the clock.
And this is actually a special clock because Mortimer has to wind it up himself every day so that he does not die. And obviously they're all zombies, so they're all kind of like undead, but he will cease to exist if he does not wind it up every single day.
He's very protective of that clock. Next we have Viola, the human violin. And she, when she was hypnotized, there's a running theme, I don't know if you guys caught on, that all of these gruesome things happen to members of the carnival when they're hypnotized, and then through their hypnosis, they die and they do these gruesome things. So this one is Viola. She's the violin girl. And so when she was hypnotized and died, she actually opened up her arm and used her ligaments as her strings so she could feel the vibrations of the music.
Yeah, she felt like she wasn't like close enough to the music, like she could never really feel it. And so Mesmer said, like, why don't you use your ligaments to
literally feel it.
To really feel it. And so now she does feel the vibrations. She's actually probably one of the happier zombies, like very much like died for her art.
Definitely. Quite the artist. Next we go into...
This is Madame Fettuccine, the human noodle.
And they actually have a contortionist in this maze who's incredibly talented, and she will be here doing a cool contortion thing that I can't do. But
This
yeah,
actually kind of does like twist you up as you're walking through.
Yeah.
It's harder to see without the lights on, but when you guys are here, you'll see it. There's a very cool like optical illusion, and it feels like you're being twisted through this room.
it does. There's some fun hidden blood and guts too for you. Which brings us into the snake charmer.
Yeah, kind of back when they had these carnivals in the Dust Bowl era, a lot of times they would have a snake charmer as like part of the team. And so this snake charmer in particular, she had this thing for like feeling the poison go through her blood. And so she would always let the snakes bite her and poison her until she builds up a tolerance to it. And so Phineas Mesmer told her, well, why don't you let the snakes actually consume you and kill you? So she let her.
She did.
Yeah.
And she became one.
And there's actually a special kind of cool thing on this wall. There's like a, there's an ode to kind of her snake goddess. Like if you look really closely, you can see it in the illustrations here. But yeah, this is the snake goddess that she worships, and that kind of inspired her to be so very religious when it comes to snakes.
She loved them.
This tunnel is actually really cool too. It's in the day it doesn't give as much of the illusion, but at night it's like you are actually being swallowed by the snake. So the tunnel gets smaller and smaller as you go.
Which doesn't, we're a little on the shorter side, so for most people this
Most
will
people
feel a
will be a little
smaller.
closer to the ceiling.
But yeah, you do get that feeling of being swallowed. Which brings us back to Madame Fenicini, the human noodle.
Well, that's her poster, but actually this is Lucinda's room. We have come full circle.
I was wrong.
Because she is light as a feather, stiff as a board, and I don't know if you guys like ever played that game in the middle of the night, sitting around a Ouija board with some candles.
No,
and
it was
like,
in the movie The Craft and a couple other things too.
yeah, but like people have done that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is actually, through this room, everything floats, because that was kind of her dream and also her hell, is this idea of floating and flying. And so this is Lucinda's room. And this was actually one of the scariest for me personally. It was just very off-putting,
Very
especially
eerie.
with the things like floating on the ceiling. There's like lots of balloons, lots of feathers, and it creeps me out.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky. So if you come in here, definitely take the time to look up if you're not screaming and running like I was. It's pretty cool. And if you listen closely, you'll hear them whisper, light as a feather, stiff as a board, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the metronome, which is also used in hypnosis quite often.
And what's cool about these are legit like wind up metronomes. So it's
Yeah.
actually the scare actors every night who
They
wind
have
these
to
up.
wind it up. I think they said like every 10 minutes.
Yeah. And get them going.
And it goes.
So,
cool.
and it kind of like, it does have a really cool eerie feel, especially like they light up as you walk through, which is really cool.
And since they're not in sync, they all might be a little off, which makes it even scarier.
Yeah.
And brings us into the room that made me dizzy. And I think a lot of people I've heard.
Yeah, I really like the whole like Art Deco feel for like the 1920s like hotel style vibe that we've got here. It's like really, it adds that creep factor, and it keeps everything in the same like era. Like you do feel like you're almost going through
Transported.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Very
lot of
cool.
people actually, like, I felt better about myself when we went through, because they told us that some people have to be escorted out of here because they get so
'cause
dizzy.
It's so hard to see, and the floor is moving, the walls are moving. So
But
good
we-
luck finding
we
your
made
way
it.
out. Yeah, we did it. You
We
did
got to the
too.
other side.
Which now brings us to the area, which is really cool at night. You can't really see it during the day, but when you go through the maze, this will look like you're walking across a tightrope.
And it looks like it goes down endlessly when
Yeah.
it's dark and then the lights are coming from below.
You could see it really good in our other maze video.
It's
but
such a cool optical illusion that
Yeah.
it's like, it really does look like it goes down endlessly.
yeah, it's scary. I'm afraid of heights, so I was like, I don't know about this.
this is actually, this room in particular was inspired by not Scary Farm itself. This was one of their original types of scare rooms where they would do the polka dots. Yeah. And it's because you can't see the scare actors.
You can't.
You just don't know where they are.
And they have mannequins to look like scare actors as well, so you never know what's going to move and what isn't.
Yeah.
Which is very scary.
But I feel like the polka dots kind of like feel like
it's
a carnival too.
It's kind of charming during the day, but at night it's not so charming.
It's not so charming. So this is Vanya the Vain, and if any of you guys know anything about the story of Narcissus, like he was in love with his visage, with his face. Vanya was the opposite. She looked at the mirror way too much, and it horrified her. She just kept finding more and more and more flaws until she couldn't take it anymore, and so she shattered the mirror and like thrust the glass into her face, and so that's why half of her face is like filled with glass and the other half is normal, so she'll like move so you see the normal side of her face. But it's like, that just like, it makes my skin crawl, because like imagine glass just like actually like stabbing yourself in the face with glass. How horrible that is.
So yeah, which brings us to our very scary room with many mirrors.
Yeah, I actually love this room. I love mirror rooms and mazes. I think mirrors themselves are scary just because of all the stories of them stealing your soul. But this is a really cool part of the maze. This actually moves on its own. But it also has like a really cool optical illusion, like as you're walking past and you just like see it going. It reminds me of the Zoetropes a little bit, even though that's not quite, but it feels like you're in your own Zoetrope almost, which I think is cool.
It definitely plays into our theme of hypnosis. Which brings us to...
oh my gosh, the Flesh Eater!
The lovely Flesh Eater.
The Flesh Eater. This was probably like the most grotesque piece in this entire maze.
Pretty gnarly.
And his story is he's actually a cannibal, like legit, like he eats people, and I think that was his thing on stage is like he would eat.
Him to do that, like, he just did it.
Well, he had to be hypnotized to get this gruesome and this monstrous about it, to where he just could not stop consuming human flesh and actually became a monster after he was hypnotized. But yeah, this, I mean, for a lot of great reasons, is the most gruesome. And we're actually going to show you guys a secret. There's actually a whisper in here where it talks to you about a red door, and it says, "Don't go through the red door. Don't go through the red door." You want to know a secret? You can go through the red door.
We did not know that.
Yeah, it actually has this like secret room in here where it has doorknobs. And there is, like, I think a cool light that comes through here. We didn't find this thing ourselves.
Yeah, we had no idea.
They had to tell us it was here. But it feeds right back into the maze and into Mr. Zoetrope's room.
So don't worry, if you are one of the few, I don't know if anyone has yet, but if you are one of the few that go through the red door, you can still get out.
Yeah, you're not going to get
trapped. You didn't go the wrong way.
But yeah, I think this is cool. I am a nerdy cinema studies major. So I was just like, I was scared in this room, but I always thought this was so cool too, because they actually have like a legit like Zoetrope here. It's like a 360 one. And this is even an older form of Zoetrope that I studied and should remember the name of.
Yeah, it shows the moving pictures, so when you spin it, you kind of see the characters almost in like an animated fashion, which is super cool. One
of my professors is going to see this video and be super disappointed in me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I love these details because they're so cool. And then this is like the piece de resistance. I mean, look at how huge this thing is.
It's massive.
And this is like Mr. Zoetrope himself. And so he and himself, like, this whole room feels like an optical illusion, because like when it's dark, they have the lights going so fast
and
that
his head moves, which is really
crazy.
Creepy. But yeah, he is basically the one who started this whole thing, and he is also your grand finale, which is such a cool piece.
Yeah.
Very talented sculptor. Next we go through
now
more
this
eyes.
is like, this room is actually the grand finale. And when you go through this dark section here, you'll hear red room, red room, red room. And that's actually Phineas Mesmer himself trying to get out of the carnival. He has realized that it has become too powerful for him and that he has no way of getting out. He is now a slave to his creation of this dark carnival. And so there's like a cool kind of like graphic that comes here at night, and then there's like a scare actor that'll jump down from a bungee on this side, which is really scary because like it comes from the back, so you're walking.
It comes right at you.
Ah. I'm really excited about how like intricate this entire story is, and I also think it's kind of cool that there's a couple of members who we haven't seen their hells yet. I don't know if it's something we'd see in the future, but the bearded lady who is out front, and I think another performer, have not been hypnotized by Phineas Mesmer yet. So
yeah, they're still a part of the carnival, but we don't know their full story yet. So hopefully in the years to come, we'll get to see their version of hell as well. But yeah, that's pretty much our maze for you. We hope you enjoyed. It was cool to get to actually see the story behind the maze because they're so intricate and they put so much work and so many ideas into these mazes. And sometimes it's hard to see when you're walking through and just like
scare actors are jumping at you.
Yeah, you're just terrified. But they put so much work into this story, so it's awesome to get to share with you guys and see it ourselves.
Yeah. Let us know if you have a particular story, a particular character that you really liked their backstory, and yeah, what you guys thought.
Yeah. See you guys later. Okay, sounds good.